Welcome everybody. So today I have a brand new movie review, and this is going for Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. So Star Wars Revenge of the Sith pretty much is about the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, as this whole entire prequel trilogy has kind of culminated in this final film. This is actually one of my favorite films in the franchise. So this movie stars Ian McDiarmid as Emperor Palpatine, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, Natalie Portman as Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker's secret love interest with this film. We've also got Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, as well as a variety of other cast and characters in this film. Samuel L. Jackson is back as well and plays Mace Windu in this movie. And this movie starts out, you see this giant battle in Coruscant, which has this big, huge ship-to-ship battle, which you haven't really seen in a Star Wars movie before. You see Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi working together in order to save Emperor Palpatine, which you don't know at first is the bad guy, but who is the mastermind behind this entire bringing down of the Jedi Order. And they later capture him from Count Dooku, played by Christopher Lee, who's a fantastic actor as well. I don't know how they managed to get all these great actors working on this Star Wars film, but I think it's pretty cool to see all these people, and most of them are using a lightsaber within this film, which is pretty sick. So Anakin Skywalker goes to Count Dooku in order to rescue Emperor Palpatine. There's this huge fight sequence on board the ship. Meanwhile, you've also got General Grievous, who they have to also encounter and fight within this film, who eventually gets away, later being cut down by Obi-Wan Kenobi. But you see Anakin Skywalker, he's struggling whether or not to kill Count Dooku after he gets the better of him during this Jedi battle. Anakin Skywalker has the two lightsabers kind of held up to him, kind of like this. He's about to lop off his head, and he's kind of like, "This is wrong, I shouldn't be doing this," and eventually he kind of cuts off the guy's head, lops off Count Dooku's arms, and this pretty much starts the downfall of Anakin Skywalker. Emperor Palpatine kind of courting Anakin Skywalker throughout most of this movie, and in the sequence you kind of see him start to be like, "I'm testing whether or not he's strong enough to be my next apprentice," and he kind of courts Anakin Skywalker, consoles him on the death of Count Dooku, saying that he was too dangerous to be left alive and everything. And so this kind of grows into this mistrust of the Jedi Order. Anakin Skywalker conflicted of whether or not he should stay with the Jedi Order, especially since the Council, which Mace Windu is head of, will not allow him to be a Jedi Master, but allows him to serve within the Order, which Anakin Skywalker, at this point, he's kind of grown to be this Jedi that kind of wants more power, that wants more sort of recognition within the Jedi Council. And so he sets it upon himself to kind of bring down Emperor Palpatine, or whoever they think is the hidden Sith that is kind of within inside the Jedi Council. He goes to Yoda to talk about his relationship with Padme, that the fact that waking up every morning with these dreams that she's going to die within childbirth, and Yoda pretty much telling him that he should not fear what happens in the future, because if you do that, that sort of jealousy leads to hate, and hate leads to the dark side, which is a really powerful moment within Anakin Skywalker, where he's trying to figure out what he should do with his life and the future of the Jedi Council. Palpatine is this sort of Sith Lord that kind of knows that he can't fight the Jedi Order head on, he has to destroy it from within. So he's doing things behind the Jedi's backs, pretty much setting everything up to fall. And you kind of see this through this entire movie. They're fighting campaigns on other planets, and then, he's trying to wield in Anakin Skywalker to be Darth Vader, who is the eventual bad guy in the original trilogy, which I happen to love. So Emperor Palpatine takes Anakin Skywalker to this opera house, which was actually a last-minute decision by George Lucas. George Lucas stating that he originally wanted to have it take place in Emperor Palpatine's throne room and everything, and at the last second, he's like, we've already had so many sequences within that sort of setting that we kind of need something a little bit different, so he went back and actually changed it to the opera house, which I think is a really cool and different and unique way to kind of set up this sort of talk about Lord Plagueis and how the fact he was able to bring people back to the dead, which is what Anakin Skywalker is kind of looking for in order to kind of save Padme, which he fears will die in childbirth. But eventually what you know is that it's only just stories and he can't actually save Padme from dying. Anakin Skywalker asked him, is it possible to learn this power? And Lord Sidious is like, not from a Jedi, which eventually leads Anakin Skywalker to pretty much question whether or not he should really be working with a Jedi. Like, he wants to rescue the one that he loves, but they're also telling him not to grow too attached to Padme, that if this happens, that he'll pretty much go down the path of the dark side. There's a great battle between Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous, and later half of this point where you see sort of this battle between the clone troopers and General Grievous. They're trying to take each other down, and this is when Emperor Palpatine, after taking control over Darth Vader, orders the Order 66. The clone troopers pretty much betray Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they fire upon him and nearly kill him. Obi-Wan Kenobi surviving the fall. He's riding this sort of lizard creature, and he kind of crashes into the water, and then that's when you see all the chaos going on, sort of D-Day invasion that was going on in Kashyyyk that is infiltrated by Order 66, which you see sort of the clone troopers kind of taking control over the land and betraying not only the Wookiees but also Yoda and his army. This leads to sort of seeing Anakin Skywalker going to the Jedi Temple and slaughtering all the younglings, which I think is a horrific battle sequence where you see Anakin Skywalker cutting down these kids, and it's like one of those things where you kind of think they might have went a little bit too far with this, but even George Lucas was like, we have to kind of leave this because it kind of shows the horrific nature of Anakin Skywalker and its turn to the dark side of the Force so that he could save the one that he loves. This is kind of showing the desperation that he's in order to kind of regain that control over the dark side while also remaining part of the light side, because he's kind of conflicted at this point. This is pretty much his deal with the devil, that he kind of has to kill all these Jedis, so that if he doesn't kill these Jedis, that they're going to have to be dealing with this problem for years and years to come, which eventually they do with the original trilogy. Obi-Wan Kenobi is shown the hologram that shows Anakin Skywalker being risen by Emperor Palpatine. He doesn't really believe it at first. He's like, this can't be true. This can't be Anakin Skywalker, the kid that I kind of raised up from this little boy to being this Jedi Master. And it actually is him, and he's a little bit heartbroken because he's like, this kid that I've been kind of growing up with is now sort of the enemy that I have to fight. And then that's when you see sort of this epic battle sequence at the end of the film where Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are kind of fighting each other on top of this kind of spire thing, and see the Duel of the Fates, I think is what it's called, and it's on Mustafar. And this is where eventually you will see in the later films that this is actually Darth Vader's castle, that Emperor Palpatine pretty much built a castle on top of the land that Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi fought on, just to kind of remember what he was fighting for and who he was fighting for, because this is just another form of ways that Emperor Palpatine uses to kind of torture Darth Vader constantly within the future films in this franchise. Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of leaps off of this barge, and they're kind of fighting on sort of the lava pits and stuff, and he states at the end of this film, "It's over, Anakin, I have the high ground." And Anakin Skywalker is pretty much like, "You underestimate my power," and he leaps off and tries to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi, with Obi-Wan Kenobi getting the better of him and chopping off both his legs and his arms. You see Anakin kind of take a tumble down the mountain peak and then kind of get burnt up alive with all this flames and fire and stuff, which is kind of horrific to see. The special effects in this movie are really, really great. The use of practical and CG. I know this movie gets a lot of flack for using a lot of CG and stuff, but really a lot of these sets were built for real. They just had an element that was CG, so they had to use blue or green screen depending on what they were filming. The sound effects are really amazing. The team at ILM is really good at doing sort of the CGI effects for the creatures, for General Grievous, for the ship-to-ship battles, and some of the dogfight sequences that you see in this film. And actually some of these CGI animators were actually the ones that worked on the dogfight sequence for Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, which I think was pretty cool. All these actors are really, really good in this part. You have Ian McDiarmid, who is Emperor Palpatine, who does a really good job. Samuel L. Jackson's in this movie as Mace Windu. He's fantastic in this film. You've even got Hayden Christensen, who does a really good job portraying sort of the rise and fall of Darth Vader, which I think is cool. And it's really cool at the end of this movie, you get that sequence where you see Darth Vader being formed, and you see kind of that sequence where the helmet kind of gets put on Hayden Christensen, and then you kind of get that sound effect, and then you hear it breathing for the first time, which I think was really good. When I was watching this movie in the theater with one of my friends, I was really heartbroken because I'm like, oh great, this is probably going to be the last Star Wars movie that we ever see on the big screen. Needless to say, that was not the case when Disney bought the rights to them, which I kind of grew up with the original trilogies before I grew up with the prequels, and I have to say that out of all the prequel movies that I've seen, Revenge of the Sith is actually my favorite of the prequel films. Ship-to-ship battles and stuff like that, the stuff that they did with General Grievous and his, forearms and stuff was pretty cool. Some of the alien creatures was really unique and well done. Them getting John Williams back to kind of do the music and stuff for this movie is really cool. John Williams being that have worked on Steven Spielberg movies such as Indiana Jones, as well as the Jurassic Park movies, his scores are really iconic, so when he kind of quits these movies, it's going to be, like I said before, hard to replace him. Pretty much everything about this movie is awesome. I know I'm trying to be a little bit vague, kind of giving you just a little bit of information so that you know what to expect while watching this movie, but I really do think that if you're looking into filmmaking, if you're looking into what movies should be and what they can be, you should definitely watch Revenge of the Sith. It was definitely worth my time watching it in the movie theater, and it's definitely worth it now watching them on Blu-ray and stuff over and over again. So I would have to give Revenge of the Sith about, a B. It's not as good as the original trilogy. It's not as bad as The Last Jedi. It's just in between the OT and some of the sequel trilogy films like The Force Awakens, so that's why I'd give Revenge of the Sith a B. This movie is really, really good. Even though I'm giving it a B and not an A rating, I still think you should see this, and I still think this is a movie that audiences nowadays will appreciate, especially with the special effects and stuff. These are one of those movies that are within the George Lucas canon that I think is really awesome, so that is why I'd give Revenge of the Sith a B. Hopefully you guys like this review. I know this was kind of shorter than some of my other reviews, but if you like this, please rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace out.